Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining me. In this screen share this morning, I want to talk about swim training. And for today, I want to put aside technique and skill. Obviously, we're all aware that if we're in the pool and we're training, we can always improve our technique and skill. Swimming is a skill-based sport. If we're not swimming technically, efficiently, and relatively correctly, we're going to have a difficult time getting faster. But at the same time, we have to be aware that how we train in the pool has a dramatic impact on our ability to improve. So for today, I want to talk about that approach to swim practice and swim training and share some recommendations with you all. And I've got a session pulled up here on Training Peaks. And I'm going to use this main set as an example. And this could be certainly, this is applicable for absolutely any swim session that I would program or that you would do. All of these things are appropriate, regardless of the practice that you're performing. So if we look at this main set, 4x and then 8x25 as 15 sprint pace, 10 active recovery at 10 seconds rest. Let's just look at that one segment for a moment. So we're doing 8 25s, 8 lengths of the pool, where we're doing 15 yards or meters at a sprint pace, and then going immediately into the remaining 10 yards or meters at an active recovery. Now, just quickly to review, we all know that there are a range of 5 different zones that I've laid out for you that go from active recovery, which is the easiest possible float you could literally do in the water, right up to sprint pace. So these 5 zones are how we approach our training, and it's critical to know what each is and feels like for you and to differentiate pace. So as I talk about this one set, 8x25 as 15 sprint, 10 active recovery at 10 seconds rest, I want to go over here to these 4 things which I've laid out as things I want to focus on in this video. So the first is know how fast you are swimming at all times. Very often I'll ask someone in a note, how fast were you swimming in this particular set? They're not sure. Use the pace clock and know how fast you're swimming every set that you swim, every rep. You should have a general idea. So you've got to be glancing at the clock after you hit the wall and know almost at any moment in time what you might swim for easy endurance or for threshold pace at any given point in your training. If you're not sure how fast you're swimming, it's very difficult to then know what represents an improvement for you. Okay? The second thing I mentioned here is to differentiate speed and pace. Now, I believe the most common error that triathlete swimmers make is they swim pretty much everything they do in the pool at the same pace. This was something that I fought constantly when I was swim training on a more consistent basis. We've got to learn to really break up and change gears if we're going to improve. I mean, you might struggle mightily when you're trying to sprint, but the reality is getting your arms moving and getting used to that feeling of sprinting, even if your form is less than perfect, is critical for you to ultimately perhaps break out and break through a plateau and start to really improve. So you've got to differentiate speed. Number 3, use the clock and leave on an interval. So if I go back and take a look again at this swim session, 8x20 and this main set, 8x25 as 15 sprint, 10 active recovery. Let's say that you swim on average a 130 for an easy endurance 100. So for you, sprinting might be close to 115 or 120, 100 pace. So you might, in theory, cover each of these 25s at a pace that averages easy endurance. I mean, I think that's probably a good guesstimate where someone might be. So if we break this down and we say for 130 for 100, which would be roughly 45 seconds for each 50, would be somewhere around 20 to 25 seconds. Let's just say 25 seconds for a 25. So if we're swimming a 25 on average in around 25 seconds, and we have 10 seconds rest after each 25 in this main set, then what I recommend you do is leave on an interval of 35 seconds. So rather than look at that particular set as, okay, I'm going to get the wall and then I'm going to count for 10 seconds. What I recommend you do is look at the clock when you're leaving on a repetition. So when you push off the wall, glance at the clock on the wall and know where the needle is, and leave on a 35-second interval. So this session now becomes 8x25s, where you're doing 15 sprint, 10 active recovery. You're doing 8 25s, leaving on a 35-second interval. So to think of it even easier, look at the clock. Let's say that you leave at the bottom of the hour. You know you're going to leave on your next interval at the 5 seconds after the top of the hour. And then you know you can push it 5 seconds further at the bottom of the interval, and you're going to leave at the 40, and then so forth and so on. So these become instant recognition elements for you when you're looking at the clock, so you know exactly when to leave on. So you're no longer counting rest at the wall, you're looking at the clock and leaving on an interval. And this is how swimmers train, and it's a very important element, in my opinion, to improving. So number 4, the last in this list, record your splits for reference. So if you know how fast you're swimming and you're learning to differentiate speed and you're using the clock and leaving on an interval, then the last thing you want to be sure to do is make a note in your diary what you're swimming at, and write that down so you know you're swimming a 25 with 15 SP and 10 AR, let's say at 27 seconds on average for that set of 8. Make some notes about how it felt, but the point of the story is you can come back later on and compare and see how you're improving. That which is recorded, we tend to pay attention to. Now, if I go back up into this warm-up, and I just look at this right here. So this is the set I just talked about right here, 8x25. But let's go up into the warm-up, 8x25 at 20 seconds rest is 25 fast, 25 AR. So these 25 should have dramatically different speeds, right? The 25 fast, I could have written sprint, I could have written threshold, but the bottom line is you're getting your arms moving, you're trying to motor through the water. You're going to turn efficiently and then go into a 25 float to come back to the wall where you pushed off from, okay? So let's say you do that 45, that 50 yards or meters in 50 seconds, okay? 45 seconds, 50 seconds, what have you. Let's just say it's 50 seconds, just for argument's sake, which is where many of you will probably be. I've given you some general guidance here of 20 seconds rest after each 50. So if you're rolling in to the wall in 50 seconds finishing the 25 AR or 25 float, and you've got 20 seconds rest, then that means you're leaving on an interval of 110. If we look at finishing in 50 seconds, add 20 seconds to that. So again, your goal now in that set of 8x50 is to leave on the 110. And at first it may seem complicated because you've got to factor in around the clock where these intervals come in. But with a little bit of practice, you become very efficient at it. And ultimately, it's a very effective way to swim. It puts your focus in exactly where you need to be. And, it goes without saying, any of you that have experience in a master's program or swam at a competitive age group level or even at a collegiate level, you understand that the faster you swim a rep, if you're leaving on an interval, the faster you swim a rep, the more rest you're going to get. And also, there are times when, if we're just counting rest, we tend to fudge the rest a little bit and probably give ourselves more time than we actually should have. And I guess I'll finish this video by saying, on that topic, one of the most important aspects of improving fitness is manipulating a rest interval in any kind of training that we do, whether it's on the track or in the pool. Paying attention to the rest interval is as important or more important than how much time we're actually taking to swim the interval itself. Because if we can very subtly and progressively manipulate our rest intervals, if we're swimming at the appropriate intensity or speed, and gradually shorten the rest intervals, we are absolutely going to improve our fitness over time. And that's really what the goal is. Okay, so I hope this helps. Please follow up with any questions. Have a great day.